The Parallax for Writers theme comes with two templates that are very handy. They are called the multiple series page with sidebar or multiple series page, which is full width as you can see here. So there's no sidebar, but otherwise the interface is built the same way. And once it's built either with or without sidebar, you can easily change the template and your selection in terms of books and series descriptions will remain. And with a simple toggle switch, you can also create an audiobook version so that you can list all of your audiobook series, either one at a time or all of your series together on one page. You can use this template for your home page. This is what Karen has done here. She's used a little bit of text at the very top. And Jamie Davis also does the same here, where at the very top, he promotes his latest release. And below that, then he lists all of his series, and the template also supports the inclusion of a paragraph here. And because it's a WordPress interface, you can always float an image next to that paragraph if you wanted to. There's also room for a subtitle just below the main title for each series. You also control how many books you put per line. So looking at Karen's page here, her Juniper Grove series has a lot of books, so she split them into 2 rows because the more books you put per row, the smaller they get. But that's how she decided to do hers here. And this is how James decided to do his here, where he's also got the box sets listed at the end of each row and then the complete omnibus listed at the bottom. So it's very flexible and you can put as many series as you want per page. If you're using the Parallax for Writers V2.0, the section where you list the titles and all of the books, all of that could easily be embedded into another page or a blog post. So I recommend that if you intend on using the embed feature, you create series pages for the individual series so that at any point, especially if you blog and you want to announce your latest release, you can include all of your books at the end of your blog post by including a shortcode. So I will show you all of this in this video here. The multiple series pages are regular pages. So to add one, just go to Pages, and you can add new, or if you already have an existing page you would like to turn into a multiple series page, you could quick edit and then select either multiple series with sidebar or multiple series page, which is the full width version of the same template. And then if you do that, you can update, or if you edit the page itself, this selection is done in the right sidebar, whether you have the classic editor like I am using now, or you are using the new Gutenberg WordPress 5.0 interface. This will be located in a collapsed section in the right, but this is what you need to select, one of these two. If you are an existing Parallax for Writers user but cannot see these two templates in your page template drop-down menu, it's probably because you were one of my earlier installations. Please contact me by email, reinstate me as an administrator to your WordPress site, and then I will add those templates to your theme at no extra charge. So let's create a new page. You can click Add New here. You can give it a title. You could include whatever text in here. For example, what Jamie is doing here, this information is all located in the top section here. By selecting multiple series page or multiple series with sidebar, you will see the interface changing here, and this is what gives you the powerful features you will need to include all of your books and rearrange them and reorder them. At the very top, you will see this toggle switch. If I don't touch it, it will retrieve the ebook covers. If I toggle this on, it says audio. That means that the audiobook covers would be retrieved. So this is the only difference between this page and this page. This is the regular format, and here the audio toggle has been turned on. In order for this to work correctly, you need to have populated audiobook covers per book. So for this book here, you need to have included an audiobook cover in its rightful spot. So this is a separate image from your book cover image. This one, although it appears square, this image is just cropped by WordPress, but it is the regular ebook that is rectangular. So if you don't have an audiobook cover here, then do not turn this on because then it will not have any images to retrieve. Now you have an option for the alignment, left and center, and this only affects the titles, subtitles, and paragraphs above the books that you will select. The books themselves will always be centered because I did test it out to be left aligned and it looked awful. So this is why the books will always be centered, but you can control if this title here is left or centered. So it's a personal choice. And then the paragraph you can control afterwards to force it to be left aligned. So I think if you're just using a title, most of the time being centered is the best option, but this is a personal taste and you can change that at any time. Now this is where the fun part begins. You add a series or a row. So you can give it a series name. The series name will appear as a large heading like this one here. If you wanted to, you can make this a clickable link. Now, you may not want to always do that, but sometimes you may have created a series page for just this series. So if you did that, then you can put your URL here, starting with HTTP. So for example, James here has a page for this particular series. If I were James, maybe I would want to copy this URL here and then include the URL in here and then make it open in the same tab. So these three items work together, but you do not have to use those. But if you wanted to promote the fact that your books are in KU and you wanted to send people directly to Amazon, include that as part of your title, and you can then link to your Amazon page and then make it open in a new tab. For example, you could make your title be something long like this, and then you could link to your Amazon page, obviously the real page where your series page is, and then make that open in a new tab. The reason why you want to do that is that if people click to go and buy, they might not have been done surfing your website. When they're done shopping on Amazon, they will close that tab and your website will remain open in the background so they can continue looking at whatever they wanted to look at, and perhaps they'll sign up for your newsletter. So this is just a best practice. If you send people away from your site, or if you send them to a landing page that does not have navigation so they can return to your previous page, it's good practice to open it in a new tab. But for my demonstration here, I will not link to anything, and I'm going to stick to regular title, so I'm not going to bother with this. This only works if you've put in a link. Now, subtitle is up to you. You don't have to do this, but if you want to list all of your series on one page and you write in multiple genres, it may be worth including a short snippet describing the genre. For example, I may want to say that my books are part of a police procedural series set in Boston. Now here, this is totally optional and you can stretch this out here to give you more room. I want to give a brief description about my series, and then I want to point people to different things. So for example, click here to see the series page on Amazon. So I can select this text here. So for example, this is my series here. This is a series page. Notice how there's no ads on this page. So it's a great page to link to if you wanted to send people to your page, but do get rid of everything else after the URL here if you want to point to a regular link, or you can use an affiliate link. So I could copy this link here, or if I'm connected to my affiliate account, I can link to this page. I recommend you use the full link like this, and then I would copy and paste into here. And because I'm sending people to Amazon, I'm clicking here to open the link in the new tab for the same reasons I mentioned before. Now, I could also, let's say I have a bundle. I don't currently have a bundle, but in here I could add media, put my cursor just before the first paragraph. Here I would find a 3D cover or a 2D cover of my bundle. I don't have that, so I'll pretend it's this for now. But you pick your image that represents your bundle. And in here, you could put your affiliate link or a direct link to Amazon or to a book page that you've created that has this bundle. So I'm just going to, once again, put that URL in here, but it's not correct. And in here, you can also pick the alignment. I'm going to pick left, but I'll show you where you can modify that even more. Here it gives you an overview, and that looks really big. So if I click on the image, here you can also adjust the alignment. This is floating left. This is centering it on its own line. The only time I would use this is if your image is horizontal and it deserves its own line. Otherwise, use float left or right, and never use this one. It always looks awful. The edit pencil here is where you have additional choices in terms of sizes. So this is too big. I'm just going to do custom size and put 100 pixels. 100 pixels width. So if you have a book cover, it's probably going to be taller, but don't worry about changing the height. WordPress will calculate it so it reduces the dimensions properly. But this image here should not be too big. It should be smaller than 100 kilobytes in size. Normally, the book covers that you include as part of my theme are 350 pixels wide. You don't want to include the fancy designer file that you got that's several megabytes. That's just going to slow down your site. Stick to web optimized images. So now I'm going to update that and notice how it's small. I don't want to do this alignment. I'm going to do left aligned. And in here, I also have the option of updating the URL and making it open in a new tab. So this may be collapsed, but just open this, and this is where opening in a new tab appears. You can also give it an alt tag, which is used for SEO purposes. So if you want to describe the image, do put it in here. I don't recommend using captions. Captions appear below the image and they distract readers. For this particular theme, I don't think there's a reason to include captions. So just put the alt text update. And in here, I can also do the same thing. I could link to my Amazon page, or I can link to an inner page on my site. If it is a page on my site, you can just start typing and WordPress will find something. So you can just then select, yes, this is what I want to link to. And then you do that little symbol and then your link has been added. So there's different ways to do this, but you don't have to. This is just optional if you wanted to put a little description above the selection of books. This is the easy part where you just have to select your books. So you can start typing and then select your books. Okay, I don't have many books in here, but I'll pretend I'll just add a few more books. I'll repeat the same books. Now the next column is optional, but if you wanted to say book 1, book 2, book 3, you can definitely do that, but make it short, because if you make it long, it will destroy the alignment. That text will keep going and then there will be a big gap next to your books. So I'm just going to say, if you need to use a second line for some reason, you can copy the code that I provide here without the brackets, Control C, and then Control V. This creates a line break. This is HTML code for that. So for example, if you wanted to say this, or you wanted to maybe say exclusive, whatever you want to do, and then you could include a horizontal line. I highly recommend you use a horizontal line to separate your series. But if you have a long series, such as what Karen has here, where you want to split books into 2 groups so that the covers still appear in large images, what I recommend you do is skip that horizontal line, then add a new series and row, skip everything here, and then add books 5, book 6, book 7. They are not mine and I'm not infringing on their copyright. I'm just showing you based on the images that I have loaded here on my site. Now I can put a horizontal line and then I can talk about series 2. Whatever you want to say, it's the same thing. Once you've got this sorted, you could then decide that series 2 is more important. You can drag and drop to bring it to the top. And now my series 2 will appear above my previous series. I can once again pick a few books for this series 2. And that's it. I'm just going to publish this now. And I'm going to open it in a new tab to have a look. So this was my series 2 that I moved on top. This was my other series where my stuff is left aligned here. These are links, these are links, these are the books. This is what I meant with the line break. I did not use any of that for the other books. Let me show you now if I change the alignment. So this is left aligned. I can go back and do center, update, view the page. Now this is centered, this is centered. Now the alignment of the paragraph is not ideal. So what I recommend you do is edit the page. Find that paragraph. I'm going to stretch this out, select everything, then justify it. Select that image, left align it again, update. Then when I look at my page, the titles are still centered, but the paragraph is much easier on the eye now because it is justified. And if you wanted to, you could put a line break to give it a bit of breathing room, and that's easy to do. Just go down here, stretch this box, put your cursor, type enter the one time, update, view your page. And now we have an extra blank line. You have the option of turning this into a full width page if you wanted to. The reason why I prefer to set it up as a page with sidebar is because you don't know where people will land when they visit your site. If I Google your name and add the word books, it's possible that Google will send me on this page here. So if you have an enticing offer in your sidebar where people can sign up to join your newsletter in exchange for a free book or something, then people may very well take you up on this offer. So depending on your goals for this particular page, it may make sense to include a sidebar. But if you don't want one, that's fine. You just edit the page and you just change the template in the right column, click update. And then it now takes the full width. We've kept all of the alignment that we had before. If you have a plugin that allows you to duplicate your pages, so this is my page here, I could easily duplicate it. It now resides here. I can quick edit, do audio, update. It's still a draft, but let me edit this now. If all of your books exist in audio form and you've already created a series page that lists all of your books with all of the information, now you can turn this on and the information will still be in here. Now, all that said, if you do not have audiobook covers for these books, it will not work correctly. Let me prove that. There's only one book cover that I've got here for an author that had given me the audiobook cover to play with. So if there's no audiobook cover, this is what happens. So it's very important that if you decide to toggle the audio switch, that you make sure that every book that you've listed here has an audiobook cover that you've populated per book. But you could still use this shortcut to duplicate things, and then you can say, okay, this series I don't have any audiobook. This series I don't have any of those. And you can manually delete those rows. And I can just keep this one, delete the other ones. I think that was the one. Because it's the last one, I'm turning off the horizontal line. If I update, and look at the page, now I have this. So it's up to you how you use this template, but it is very powerful. Now the last thing I want to show you, I'm going to edit the original series page I had to show you how to embed an entire series page into a different page. To show you what sections get retrieved, I'm going to put an intro in here. So I've selected this to be a heading 2, and this is just to prove my point. But this page, I'm going to update the page, then look at it. So I have this text here, and then you see I have series 2 and then my other series with all of this information. Let's say you wanted to blog and then link to all of your books or one particular series page where you've only got the one series, I'm going to go to posts, add a new post, give it a title. In here, I'm going to say whatever I want to say. So this can be as long as you want. You can include images, same thing as before. You just put your cursor. You can float images to the left, to the right. So this one here, I'm going to align it right. I'm going to make it this size, insert into post. Now, let's say in here, I wanted to include my series page. I probably want to give it some context. I'm going to set this as a heading 2. Don't know if you've read all the books in the series. Here's the complete list. I put my cursor here. If you've got the V2.0 theme, you can insert a page with this icon. Now you need to find your series page. My series page is called this. So this is step number 1. You could also enter the slug, which is the last part of the URL. This is a shortcut if you want to do that. Display, you need to use a custom template. And then embed mult series only, not real page. This is the only one that embeds a series. So this is what you need to select, insert into page. Alternatively, if you're using the new interface with Gutenberg, you will not have this button, but you can use this short code here. It's always going to be the same with the square brackets like this. The part that will change is this here between the quotation marks. Make sure that you use straight quotation marks. And this, if I look at my series page here, I can quick edit. This is it. Or if you were to view this page, it's the last part in the URL, but without any of the slashes. So this is how the shortcode works. And the display embed -series.php is what retrieves the proper template. So if you're embedding a series, this would always be the last part. So now pay attention. Here's the complete list, colon. The series will appear, and then more text if you wanted to put more text after that. So I'm publishing this page. Now when I view the post, this was the stuff I had. I included my title. Here's the complete list. Series 2, blah, 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 and then my horizontal line. Then there is a slight horizontal line here that's hard to see, but there is one horizontal line that will be added before the rest of your blog post continues. Note how the introduction does not appear. This little part here does not appear, so it only retrieves the series information. So if you were to create a series page per series, which I highly recommend you do using this multiple series template, then at any point you could embed this series information into your blog posts, into a regular page, or even into your books page. So let me show you an example again. If I look at a book, I'm going to edit this book here. Once again, this is a V2.0 feature. There's this section called Extra Book Info. You can do the exact same thing. So I'm just going to copy and paste the same short code, Control C. I'm going to paste this in here, Control V. Don't worry if it's not taking the full width here, that's fine. I'm going to update this. View the post. Now this is all included. So instead of manually selecting your books to do this, you could decide to stop using this section. I would not use both at the same time, and there's no automation that prevents you from using both. So I would delete the title, and it's important to delete every row for books you've got populated, and you can then update it. So this will no longer be a link, but it's still there in whatever, this is weird information from somebody else, but the series name is still there, no longer a link because the books have not been populated. But in here at the very top, you may want to give it a title. So I'm just going to edit this again and say, look for my extra book information. Select the title here, give it a title heading. So I'm going to do heading 1. The books will then appear after that. And once again, I would recommend creating a series page for only this series, not all of them like I'm using here. When I update it and then view it, people have a context, all the books in the series, and then this would be it if you've only got the one series populated, and I would not include the horizontal line. So that would be one way where you could automate the addition of other books in the series. If you edit your series page and you include more books, everywhere where the embed code exists, the code will be updated automatically when the page loads. So as you can see, the multiple series pages are very powerful, especially used with the V2.0 theme. You need to have populated your books first, but create as many as you want and have fun with them. Here's the way I recommend you use the multiple series template. You don't have to use it this way, but I believe this is the most efficient way to do it. I recommend you create a page for each series on its own. So for example, this is one fake series here where I've got 2 of the same book, this one and this one. Then let's say you have another series. Create another series page, both using the multiple series page with or without sidebar, doesn't matter. Now, when you create your books page, this books page here was created by individually selecting the books. But with the embed a series feature, you could reduce the hassle. You would then have only to update the individual series page. And if you've used the embed code, then your books page would be updated automatically. And your individual book page, if you've got several books listed at the bottom of the page using the embed series code, then this would also automatically get updated. So if you want to be as efficient as possible by creating individual series pages per series, such as this one here, feel free to include an introduction or not. The part that will get retrieved when you embed it is only the title, subtitle, paragraph, and the books. Do the same for each one of your series. When you populate your individual books, at the very bottom, instead of using this feature, embed the series using the extra text box. And when you create your books page, your real books page that is meant to list all of your books, so instead of repeating your books manually and choosing them through here, you could get rid of this and then instead use the embed a series feature. So here I have this series with this slug, and I'm going to embed using this template. And now that I've got the code, I'm just going to copy and paste and simply change the slug. So my other series had this URL. I'm going to copy this, change it here. And I can then delete all of those manually added rows that I have to maintain as separate things. I no longer have any books in here. And just to show you, I'm also going to use the same code here and modify this particular book. Into the extra book info, I'm going to paste the series information, and I will remove this information. And I would do this for every book in this particular series. So now, if I look at this book, I have this series automatically that appears at the bottom. And when I look at my books page, my books page, if I update this now, I have the series listed here. So if one day I decide to have a fourth book in this series, so this is my series page. By editing this page, I'm going to add a fourth book. I'm going to copy this one, and just to prove it, I'm just going to add this here, just so it's clear that it's my latest changes. I'm going to update. So by doing this, if I refresh this particular single series, the fourth book has been added. My books page, if I refresh this page, the fourth book has also been added, as well as if I click on the individual book where I've added the book information, the fourth book has been added as well. So this way of using the multiple series templates to create individual series and then embedding them in various places to create your complete bookshelf page, as well as using it at the bottom of your individual books, is the most efficient way to update your site when you release a new book in a series. And by embedding the series the way I've done it here, if you decide that this series is more important, it's very easy to reorder your series simply by copying and pasting. So here I'm doing Control X to cut, and then I'm placing it here, putting my cursor, Control V to paste. So if I update it and refresh, now this series is now listed first. So it's very easy for you to reorder the books on your series page, and everything gets updated automatically everywhere else where you've embedded the individual series.